prehistoric coil pottery. And thank you, everybody. Odin, Lady, Hippie, Aurorian, Brian, Danico. Thank you guys so much for being here. Prehistoric, prehistoric coil pottery, an art disseminated over a vast territory at an early age. In the dim past, when primeval men occupied this continent, no one knows for how long a period, they raised mounds, they dwelt in caves, or built towns that are now below the surface of the earth. Okay, very subtle. Like, this author's just saying something like that, but this is an incredibly important point to make. Built towns that are now below the surface of the earth. Yeah, they're buried. Something happened, or several things happened. And now, coming from Alaska all the way to episode 8, folks, we're dealing with whole cities, huge, huge, unbelievable metropolises that have been buried under 1, 2, 3, 400 feet of mud, lava, many things. In all of this long era, they used flint or stone implements for all edged tools, hammers, axes, spears, etc. And remember, not only that, because one of these silly narratives is that we're dealing with the Stone Aged people, right? Well, we've found metal implements in every state from Alaska to New Mexico, metal implements. Okay. We go down deeper, we find more advanced technology. They're finding tempered copper in from we found it in California. We're finding it in Arizona. Tempered copper that they don't even know how to do today. Kiki Cookerson, I'm glad I know my live streams again. They're rare and they're early in the morning. I'm a father of 3 young boys and incredibly busy, full-time job. And this is the only time I can do a live stream and not have, my wife and my children. They need something every 5 minutes. So I appreciate everybody who's here at this hour. It means a lot to me. I work very hard throughout the week and I get up early on um, on these days to make sure I can make this happen. This project and getting this channel going means a lot to me, and I couldn't do it without you guys. So, and I realize that this hour is, kind of inconvenient. And I'm not always, it's not going to be about getting the most viewers because it's 5 a.m. But just getting these videos done is what is important to me. So, yeah, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody who's been following me along. And if you're new to this, no problem. If you really enjoy it, I'm so happy. There's tons of material to go back and watch. And I clip all of these videos into smaller videos. Some people don't like that, and other people do. Honestly, as a busy parent, I know that not everyone can invest 2 hours, 90 minutes in a video. So clipping these into smaller portions has been incredibly beneficial. And yeah, so I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to clip some of my first few episodes, California and Alaska. And there's gems in every video. So expect to see some bleeding from the last episodes. I'm going to clip this one into smaller portions, and I am going to go back and do some of my previous episodes too. I prefer the longer. Well, I'm grateful. That's awesome. I do this for the longer videos and the people that enjoy the longer videos. But ultimately, I want to produce content for everybody. And there's the shorter video people because again, that's the beautiful thing about YouTube is I can see every one of my subscribers and what they're watching, and you wouldn't believe the shorter videos. Like my long videos are 80% subscribers. 80% of the views of my long videos are people that have been here that enjoy it, and that's fantastic. I love that. That's my bread and butter, right? That's what I'm happiest doing. But then it's like a flip. 80% of the viewers of my short videos are new to the channel. So, yeah, I'm just trying to embrace all. And yeah, but yeah, please, if you have a comment or an opinion or anything, that's what the comments are for. And that's why I love the comments. And overall, since I started the channel, it's been overwhelmingly positive, which is fantastic. I dealt with a lot more negativity on Twitter over the years with people and newspapers and the things I was sharing. And but YouTube, I thought it would be more negative on YouTube, to be honest. But it's been predominantly positive. My average um, thumbs up is like 99%, which is incredible. I didn't think it was going to be like that. So it just shows you don't make assumptions. And yeah, and I'm rambling here, and time is precious. So let's get back into this. We're talking about basket makers of New Mexico. We're talking about the warrior emperor Tigrinus, the Atlantean king of the Aztecs, found in New Mexico, 1922. Um, and we're making the correlation here since I got off subject, and people maybe that just hopped in. Prehistoric coiled pottery, an art disseminated over a vast territory at an early age, right? Okay, and we were touching on stone implements. Well, they're finding more than just stone implements. Okay, it's everything. At the same time, having metal pots or kettles, right? So they're trying to pass the Stone Age narrative off on us, but they keep finding relics as they go deeper that destroy the narrative. That's what we're doing here with this series. We're kind of flipping the narrative on its head. The deeper you go, we're not dealing with cavemen. We're dealing with much more advanced races who were destroyed by war or the ravages of cataclysm or both. So yeah, where was I? They were cooking with pots or kettles. A rough earthenware was used for cooking, and all other uses for which we now use iron. Exactly. Cast iron is ancient. They're finding cast iron everywhere, all over America. And iron was used in many buildings. And as we get closer to the Mississippi Valley, we're going to find lots of iron. There is somewhat of a resemblance in many of the stone implements all over the world. Absolutely. We're dealing with very similar people. And we're going to hop into a video from my Alaska episode that correlates New Mexico, Alaska, and we're dealing with a civilization that covered the globe. And like I talked about a little bit in the Arizona video, what's the most ancient symbol? It's not the most ancient, but one of the most ancient, the swastika. Um, as we get into my radium series, we're going to discuss the swastika. For me, it's an alchemical symbol. It was worn on the robes of the Phoenician priests. It was found all over. It was the most sacred symbol in Arizona, the most sacred symbol in Utah. It was found in California, New Mexico. It's found in Oregon. It's been found in Alaska, and it keeps going all the way to the East Coast. It's been found in the Mediterranean. It's been found in India. It's a worldwide symbol, and the same people making this coiled pottery. It's the same people using the labyrinth symbol. It's used by the Greeks, and yeah, we're dealing with a similar culture with the same technology. It is only recently it has been discovered that there is a resemblance in much of the pottery of this early age, especially in coiled pottery. This pottery was made by rolling in long strings like cord, and while sopped, beginning with one end to coil it round and round, increasing the size of the bottom till it assumed the desired dimensions, then shaping it up the sides till the required form and size was attained. The most extraordinary part of this investigation is that this ware, made in the same manner, okay, this is incredibly important. The most extraordinary part of this investigation is that this ware, made in the same manner, is found in the mounds of Florida. And if you remember my Oregon video and my Alaska video, we talked about shell mounds identical to Florida are found in Oregon and Alaska. They found a temple, a hut temple in Arizona. If you remember my Arizona video, completely made out of shells, ocean shells. A temple, again, I'm repeating this, a temple made out of shells, completely made out of shells, 100% made out of shells in Arizona. Okay. Now we're making correlations between their pottery. And this will be important as we make this Alaska narrative, and then we'll hop back into the Tacrinus video or into the Tacrinus article. Mounds of Florida and Ohio, in the cliff dwellings of New Mexico and Arizona, in the buried cities of the canyons of these territories, Utah, Colorado, also in Connecticut Valley and under the ancient shell heaps of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Where shell mounds are found all over the world. They're making the same pottery, they're using the same symbols. What happened? According to the uses of these pots were intended for, so were they made large or small, thick or thin, of various shapes, it was a common practice to use some sharp instrument to dent or work up some fanciful designs. Now, again, we're going to go into an Alaska article here, but the design stuff, the patterns, the shapes, the painting, the labyrinth symbol, the Greek um, friezes, all these things correlating to people all over the globe without obliterating the lines of the coil. In some cases, they are beautifully marked, looking like carved black oak. Others are made of light-colored clay in very fine coils, prettily indented, forming neat designs. Some of the best wares handsomely smoothed. Jen, thank you so much. Ian, morning. Thanks for being here. All were smoothed inside before they were dry. Probably some of those intended to withstand heat have plumbago mixed into the inner surface of the vessels. Yeah, some of these had a kind of plaster inside, and I think those were probably used for very high heat. Um, Correspondence science from which journal the cut here presented was reproduced. There are many fanciful designs of this ware, some very large jars, pots of all shapes, bowls, cups, pitchers, etc. So again, the most extraordinary part of this investigation is that this ware, made in the same manner, is found in the mountains of Florida and Ohio, okay, Mississippi Valley, Florida, the Gulf, and the cliff dwellings of New Mexico, and in Arizona, in the burned cities of the canyons, Colorado and Arizona again, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. And again, you're finding swastikas in Massachusetts, you're finding them in Alaska, you're finding them all over the Gulf, you're finding them in Arizona. Yeah, China, everywhere, everywhere. So then we're going to hop over to an article from my Alaska episode, Alaska's ancient city. Okay. Uh, an earthquake removed the side of a mountain. I know there's a lot of new listeners who haven't seen this one. A prospector wandering through Alaska, not wandering, but very familiar with the territory, looking for, new places, found a mountain that had washed away, revealing a ancient stone city in the mountain. This sounds just like what we've been showing in Arizona and Colorado, California, that quote mounds. And if you remember my Colorado episode, they had a 4-mile circumference mound, a mound that was 4 miles in circumference, that was a giant stone city buried in debris and sand. Robert Seffer, yeah, Robert Seffer banned me a long time ago. We disagreed on some things, and he didn't appreciate what I had to say, so he banned me. We don't talk. I tried, so there you go. I've had to say this and explain this before, but yeah, Robert Seffer does a lot of great stuff, but he's kind of an asshole. So that's my own personal experience with him, and it's unfortunate because yeah, I too came from a place of appreciation for Robert, but he's not the nicest person, which is unfortunate. So why I brought this up, okay? They found now remember a big focus of my Alaska video was to show that Alaska at one point in time was completely tropical. The whole place, They find tropical coral, tropical fish, tropical plants, huge plants. In Alaska, they found a tropical forest, no joke, in the middle of the tundra, essentially. These men are stomping through snow and they come upon a tropical paradise. The ground was being heated by volcanic action, and the snow um, couldn't sustain there. It had created its own ecosystem, tropical foliage, tropical trees. They said all kinds of animals and birds, like from the equatorial regions, existed there. And that wasn't the only one they found. I think I'm going to have to go through a Alaska episode and clip that one up today just because there's so many correlations here. But let's just go back to this real quick. On arriving at the situation, I saw a great body of earth had broken away and rolled down the mountain. The first thing to attract me was the discovery of a small piece of broken earthenware, light brown in color, with an artistically worked trimming of Greek design worked in black pigment. It was just such a piece as those I had found in New Mexico some years before. And anyone can imagine my amazement at its discovery in this quarter. This man is in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, in the winter, finds a mountain that had been washed away during an earthquake, revealing a stone city with Greek pottery identical to the pottery he found in New Mexico. I turned quickly to scan the sides of the earth where the avalanche had torn it apart, and in the midst of the crevice, not 300 yards from where I stood, I saw the protrusion of a wall of dull gray masonry, crumbling and broke, but showing beyond all doubt, even at the distance, that the builder was a human. This wall was a little over 6 feet deep in the ground. I discovered on arriving at its location, both ends of it were lost in the ground. On making further investigation, I found evidence of numerous other walls at a distance of 30 or more feet apart, and some of them revealed corners of masonry. It soon became evident to me that I had discovered an American Pompeii. Through the work of the avalanche, the remains of houses I saw were undoubtedly those of a prehistoric city covered with earth and debris, which had hidden it through some volcanic action, possibly during, but most likely long after its destruction, centuries on centuries ago. Important correlation to make there, right? Because what have we been saying from every state now? 8 episodes in, and there's a Pompeii in every state. Remember, Tacoma, they were digging a well in Tacoma. They went down 1,000 feet and found a beach. 1,000 feet below the surface, they found another beach. A previous level of ocean, 1,000 feet. Tropical foliage. At this 1,000-foot mark, they found all kinds of tropical plants. They found shells. They found, the same thing we're finding here in Alaska. But what happened? Remember in the Washington video, they were digging out 50 million cubic tons of earth to build Seattle. And if you remember in that episode, you look at the images I posted, it doesn't make any sense. 50 million cubic tons. Some say up to 80 million cubic tons. Now, if you understand that number, that's insane. And if you look at the images, ground level was 100 feet or more below the mud in some places. Yeah, so an American Pompeii in every single state on the West Coast. Now all the way into Mexico, we're going to find the same thing.